Hey everybody, this is Marky Ramone, and you are listening to the one and only Paulie Z Show.
Yo, 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 welcome back to the Paulie Z Show. This is a milestone, episode number 30. I can't believe it, 30. That's a big number, right? That's I think 25, 30, 35, and then I guess it goes to 45. No, 50, I guess.
Well, there's only like 70 left to 100.
Oh, yeah. So we're, Alex said we only have 70 episodes left to our 100th episode. So we're almost there. Yeah. Hey, where's the effect? The special effect. You suck. The effects. So anyway, to celebrate this milestone, I'm bringing on a guest, a friend of mine, someone who I met on Z-Rock, season 2. He was on season 2, which is now available on DVD. And he is a milestone in his own right. He's a legend, and he's been around for a long time, and he's done, he's very well respected, and in one of the great bands, on this in the world of rock and roll. And I'm talking none other than the legendary drummer for the Ramones, Marky Ramone. So, so Marky, say hi.
Hey everybody, how are you, Paulie? What's up?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I can't complain. Been here, there, and everywhere, and now it's home time for a while, and then I'll be going out again and doing what I usually do.
What have you been doing, actually? Tell everybody.
Well, I was in Spain, Canary Islands, doing some shows there. I've been cultivating more of my radio show in Sirius XM. And I just did a video for the new song we just did called When We Were Angels. And you could check it out on, Marky Ramone MySpace and the Facebook. And I hope everybody enjoys it. So I think that's, and my Marky Ramone Brooklyn's own tomato sauce.
What? You have tomato sauce?
Yeah, I have my own pasta sauce line, which will probably be in the stores in September or October. And but you can get it online if you go to markyramone.com. And I made it myself. I'm into food too. My grandfather was one of the head chefs of the Copacabana in the 40s and the 21 Club in the 30s.
Really? Oh, so this is the perfect podcast for you. This is it.
And I used to watch him cook, and and I observed, and then I drew my own concoction together, and that's what it is. So it's got a nice cover to it, artwork from a guy named Vince Ray out of England. And it tastes good. It's like the same thing as Rayo's tomato sauce.
Well, this is interesting. This is the first time I've interviewed someone where we started with the food instead of the rock and roll. So we might as well delve into it. So talk to me a little bit, and we'll come back to the rock stuff. So talk to me about the sauce, because first of all, do you call it sauce or do you call it gravy?
Me gravy, but it has to be called sauce. Because where Brooklyn you come from, you don't call it. You call it gravy, but sauce. There's two ways of spelling sauce: SOURCE or SAUCE. I would rather call it gravy, but in the real world, it's sauce. So it's pasta sauce.
Right. Well, but that's an Italian thing, right? Because everybody I know that's Italian, when they make it, they go, "Oh, you want some more gravy?" And I'm like, "Gravy? What is this, Thanksgiving?" I didn't. When I think of gravy, I think brown. I think like on meatloaf. That's gravy.
Yeah, me too. It's something you put over the meat, and I never knew that you had to make your own gravy. I thought it comes with the meat.
Right.
And it doesn't. You got to make your own gravy. But the sauce is plum tomatoes. It's a little bit of oregano, a little bit of salt, olive oil, basil, and that's basically it. And,
wait, what about garlic? Fresh garlic or onions?
Just a little bit, but
really?
it has the really good consistency, and it has the good. It has sweetness to it, and I'm very proud, and I can't believe I did something like this.
That's awesome. No, that's great. I have a friend who actually put out his own pesto sauce, and it's weird,
Love it.
like when he put it out, and I said it was odd to me that someone could do that on their own, like make their own food and put it out with a
Right.
label and everything. And you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like when someone or even like I have people that I know friends that have their own business, and they go, "Oh yeah, I have my own business." I'm like, "You started a business? You run a company? That's amazing." But yet,
Yeah.
when I almost discount how much I've done. It's like they look at me and they're like, "Yeah, but you put out a record. Like you have
Right.
an album in the store, you have a show, you tour. Like
That's right.
But it seems so natural for us. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
does that make sense? Like if you went up to like a guy, Chef Boyardee, and he's like, he'd be like, "Yeah, the sauce is no big deal, but you tour the country. You're in the Ramones, you know."
Right. But it's like it all goes together. That's your life, and it's in you, so you do it.
Yeah.
But other people choose other professions. So what you do is really a company. It's you. It's the band. It's the TV show. It's everything.
Yeah, it's always funny how I've noticed, like it's like you ever see actors, they want to be musicians, or musicians want to be actors, or writers
Right.
want to be dancers, whatever. And it's always weird because when you know something and you know the ins and outs of your profession,
Yeah.
it gets to the point where you're like, I'm sure making a record for you would be a piece of cake. You know exactly what to do, and you know how it's going to go and all that. But if someone said, "Hey, so why don't we put out a Marky Ramone sauce?" I would imagine it's got to be a little foreign and a little odd, the process. In the
Oh yeah,
beginning.
they go sauce. What made you get into that? It's like it's a big world. No, really, it's a small world now with the internet and everything else and this or whatever. And just because you play the drums in a band, you're a writer, producer, you can branch out and do other things. That's what I feel this country's all about. And if you do it good and you present it properly with good quality, I'm all for it.
I'm definitely going to have my own food at some point. I don't know what you know what I do? I make a killer salmon though, but I don't know how to package that. See, I might have to have a restaurant. Would you be a cook in my restaurant? Would you be like one of the head chefs if I open up a fancy restaurant?
If I had the time, but I'd have to talk to Chef Daniel Ballou at DBGB's because he's got my tomato sauce on the menu there.
Oh.
It might be a conflict of interest.
Okay. Well,
you know what I mean?
Well, then maybe you're gonna have to invent something else. Maybe we'll have the Marky
Oh,
Ramone meatballs.
Yeah, you start with one thing, then you see how it goes. Then you add something else, maybe like a hot sauce. The next thing will be a hot sauce or whatever, like your friend, the pesto sauce.
Or how about Ramono cheese?
Romano cheese.
Yes. You see? Instead like so when you put it over your pasta or whatever, instead of
grating it's already there.
Right. Instead of Parmigiana,
Yeah, well, look, the sky's the limit with this stuff.
Or even Ramonicati. Marky Ramonicati. Oh, I'll have the Marky Ramonicati, and
and you make the spaghetti, the pasta, like a drum set, or like a snare drum or a cymbal,
or spunk-getti.
You know what I mean? Just anything that catches the eye, but the quality has to be good because there is a lot of competition out there.
Well, what's your deal? Are you Italian 100% or mixed? Or
no, I'm English and German.
Oh, you're not Italian at all?
No, German and English.
For some reason, I thought you were. Maybe because we were talking about gravy.
Brooklyn.
German. Yeah, and the Brooklyn thing. Well, you definitely got it. Well, if you're it's funny when you think of someone born and raised in Brooklyn, it's like they're either Italian or Jewish. That's like the default.
my other grandfather, who was my step grandfather, was Italian. He owned 5 barbershops, sold them, and he lived to 92 years old. And he, real Italian, heavy accent, and most of the time it was even hard to understand him. But I loved him. I loved him like he was like my real grandfather, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's a Brooklyn thing,
So you're German and English. That's your background.
Yeah.
So how come you're not making like like sauerkraut, packaging that. That's what you should be doing.
Yeah, I'm not into that. It's the sauerkraut thing, and then the next thing you know, we'll be making
Bratwurst.
fish and chips.
Yeah,
right?
punkwurst. We can make punkwurst instead of bratwurst.
Yeah, right.
Trying to think.
Liverwurst and I like all kinds of food. I like Indian food, Thai food. I like pizza. Give me a good pizza. I could live on that for the whole day.
What's your? I had a Evan Seinfeld from Biohazard.
I heard of the band.
Yeah, and he's also an actor. He was in that show Oz, and he does porn.
Right.
And he's pretty well known. And he he was on the podcast, and we had a whole discussion. It was almost like 20 minutes of talking about the best pizza joints in New York City. And he went through every borough, and he told me exactly where he would go first, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
What would be some of your favorite places? Pizza.
There's two.
All right.
So Tono's, Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn. Like around, I think, Emmons Avenue.
Okay.
Coney Island. And Grimaldi's, downtown Brooklyn, around Brooklyn Heights, near the bridge, right near the bridge. And another place on Avenue J, the Fatha, I think it's called. And it's on 16th Street and Avenue J. Those three are the ones I like the best.
Really? Okay, that's funny because he mentioned Grimaldi's, but the other two I don't think we talked about. So that's interesting. And now what kind... I know how Grimaldi's is, very, very thin crust, and he was telling me that you got to get it right, you got to eat it within like 5 minutes from when it comes out of the oven. Otherwise, it just turns to mushad.
Yeah, it does.
But what about the other two places? How would you describe them? Are those also thin?
Like the Totono's is thin. It's been there for like 50, 60 years, that restaurant. And it's funny, there could be a line outside, and when the guy decides to close, he closes. Like, there's no 9 to 5 thing. There's none of that. Say it's 2 in the afternoon, he wants to stop, he stops. And the pizza's like Grimaldi's. It's similar, but of course, everything's different. The Fatha's is the drippy kind. The crust is a little thicker, but it's like it just oozes that good, that good oil, and the cheese is coming off it. And you could get it well done, but the way he serves it, you don't even bother. You just eat it, and it's amazing that the Fatha's Pizza.
Now, is that the place? Is it a pizzeria or is it a restaurant? Because I know there's a big famous restaurant in the Coney Island area.
It is a pizza restaurant in Coney Island.
Okay.
It is called Totono's. I haven't been there in a while because I live near Grimaldi's, but there's about 10 tables, and the brick oven's there, and it's brick oven pizza, and they serve it, and the next thing you know, you're eating like 3-4 pies.
What other than pizza, when you've been in your travels? When you're on the road, has there been a place somewhere? Let's stick to the U.S. Has there been a place that when you go to a particular state, you said, "Oh, I can't wait to go because I want to go to this place." You know what I mean? Like for me, I love going to L.A. because I love going to the Rainbow. I love their food there, and it's like a big, I get excited like a little kid. Is there a place like that?
Yeah, Rainbow's great. Rainbow's great.
Well, you can't pick Rainbow because I picked Rainbow. You can't.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't.
But
copy
I've been going there since the 70s.
Oh, that's true. So you have seniority. So, but I already picked it, so I beat you to the point.
Okay.
So you can't be a copycat now. Come on.
Yeah, all right. There's another place if you like Mexican food. I love Mexican food. It's called Los Tacos. It's on Santa Monica Boulevard, and it's right next to a 7-Eleven. And me and the other Ramones used to go there, when they were still alive, and we would go there and eat. And you could eat anywhere, but that was the place. It's a little place, but it's just so traditional, it's so real that you don't want to go to any other place.
Right.
It doesn't have the neon lights or the expensive furniture and all that stuff. It is what it is.
Were you guys big eaters, like when you were on the road, or you would kind of like, just eat?
Not really. We, when it came time to eat, we would pick a place and eat there, But, what we would do in the van, because we toured in a van. We really went into the tour bus thing, and we would eat sardines out of a can.
Really?
Yeah.
I loved, my parents used to make me a sardine and onion sandwich with mayo on on toast. And it's so good, so like smelly though. And I used to get so
Yeah,
much.
I know.
I used to get so
van
much
stank.
shit. Yeah. Oh my God, sardines. People, the kids in my class would be like, "You stupid idiot! Like, put that thing away." It was it smelled like shit, but it tasted so good.
And it's good for you, and that's what we would do. It was protein, and you played good, and you didn't have to wait around for like an hour for a 1 pound steak. You know what I mean? Right. And you were on the go. You had to get to the show, do the sound check, interview. You know how it is. Then you have to. Then you got to play. So that's what we ate, and backstage we would order the pizza.
But for us, the thing is, the reason I ask is because for us, the three of us, I mean, we do the same thing, traveling in the van, we got the interviews, the sound check, blah, blah, blah. But we don't drink and we don't smoke, we don't do drugs. We really don't do any of that crap.
Good for you. Good for you.
But the thing is, so it's like you need a little something to kind of like your little vice or something that you can kind of go off on. So for us, it's always been food, although now I've been much healthier, I've been better. But, generally speaking, we have very insatiable appetites. So our thing to do, like after show, before the show, we're always looking for food and we're always looking to pig out. So that's why I asked. I said, I was just wondering, did you guys like have that craving, a big appetite, or is it just you ate because you had to eat because you were hungry and that's it?
Well, we most of the times we ate when we felt we had to, because you never know when you got to certain towns what would be around. What would be backstage, even though we had a rider, which was a list of stuff you wanted backstage to munch on. Sometimes half of the stuff wouldn't be there.
Right.
So we just on the road chose the stuff we wanted as we were driving, stop at a store, pick it up, and start eating in the van.
Well, but now, obviously there was got to be a point where, I mean, you guys were, had reached a level of success. There must have been a point where you would get there and the rider had to be correct, or like the venue, you know what I mean? Or I mean, did you get to that point where it was like, okay, finally now we don't have to eat sardines or whatever? Or did you kind of?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Okay. But backstage, you see, a lot of the times we didn't want to eat too before the show, because you're digesting and your body's working overtime. You want to use that energy to play. So if you're full of food, it's going to interfere with. To me, it would come up, or you might get that acid flux feeling. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So we didn't really eat before the show, but after the show, the pizzas would be there, kind of like almost cold, but they still tasted good. Sometimes I like cold pizza.
Yeah, cold pizza is pretty good.
There's something about it, right?
And cold Chinese food. You ever have cold Chinese food?
Yep. Great.
Yeah.
Great. And spaghetti.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, not as much for me, but yes, I can have that. But you know what I can have is like, you can't have cold meat like the meatballs, or like, you know what I mean? Because they're hard. That's the problem.
Yeah, you gotta recook them.
Yeah. See, like with cold, the thing about cold Chinese food is like if you get chicken and broccoli, I can still eat the chicken because it's thin enough and they're soft. But like
it's so good.
Yeah, spaghetti and meatballs, or like chicken parmesan, maybe, depending on how thin it is.
Yeah, you make a sandwich, a hero out of it.
Yeah, you're right.
Club sandwich.
So when you guys were on the road, though, like, were there any particular places that you like to go? Other than this other place, were there places that you guys like to go in different states?
There was a place in, I think, Pennsylvania, where it was a spaghetti place, where they had like the cheese on top and beans, and they had the hot sauce with it. Mm-hmm. I forgot the name of it, but it might have been a small chain. But we'd go there, the spaghetti would be there, hot sauce, a chili sauce with it, beans, and the cheese on top. I think it was American cheese or the other kind. Not cheddar? Like cheddar. Yeah, it was a cheddar. Yeah, and it was so good. I get 3 portions of it.
Nice. That's what I'm talking about.
And the next thing you know, you're 10 pounds heavier, and you're going, what the fuck is this? You know, your clothes can't, so
especially when you're wearing the tight clothes in rock and roll. It's like people don't realize like that extra pound or two makes a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys fight a lot, like when you were on the road?
Always. So there was always some kind of squabbling going on, mainly between Joey and Johnny, not me and Dee Dee. But look, the bands are a family. Sometimes it's like a business, office politics. One day somebody might not like what somebody said or whatever, or somebody might blame something on somebody else. So the attitudes come out, and you look back at it now and you go, how trivial and how stupid that was, and I'm saying this for everybody, any bands that are listening or individual band members, that let all that stuff go, because, later on in life you realize that it wasn't worth it, that, bands should really realize how lucky they are that they're being accepted out there, and be grateful that they're, still together and touring and having a good time and enjoying their dream.
That's what honestly, it's funny you say that, because that's what goes through my head every day. Because we fight. Plus, my brother is in the band, so we are literally family. And we're better than most bands in the sense that I think maybe because we're brothers, me and Dave, or just something about the three of us, we have a chemistry that no matter how bad the fights get or how rough it can be, we don't have those explosions where we go, fuck you, and I quit. It's like
no.
Yeah, but the thing is, those little things like you're talking about, there's always those stupid little things that he wants to do this, I want to do that, or whatever. It's so hard when you're in the middle of it to take yourself out and look. And I try to do that. I always try to do that and be like, dude, relax and kind of appreciate what you got, because, like you said, it's very hard to keep a band together in the first place. That's the accomplishment right there. The fact that you can keep those guys, like you guys were together. You were with them for how long?
15 years.
15. Now, you had told me you weren't the original drummer, right? So you came in?
No, I was in the band 15. The first guy was only in 3 years. And but we were friends, but he had enough. He couldn't take it anymore.
Right.
He couldn't take the road and the fighting. Then I came in, and I lasted 15 years. But I didn't indulge in it. I just kind of stayed on the fringes, because I knew what I had, and I knew that I wanted it to last.
Right.
And sometimes I had to be the mediator. I had to get in the middle, which I felt kind of weird about, because if Joey wasn't talking to Johnny, I'd be in the middle and try to make them, get together. Right. A lot of the times it worked, a lot of the times it didn't. So, you try your best to help the situation, to keep the engine running. You know what I mean?
I think it's a great message that you just said. I have to tell you, because I like I said, that's what keeps me going. It's a positive thing. And I try to relay that to other people when I get MySpace messages or emails from bands that are especially younger bands, and they're like, oh, you guys inspire us, and we'd love to, what's your secret? Give me advice. And the one thing I always say, the first thing is find the right people and really appreciate what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. And that's the hard part in life, is not always worrying about what you don't have. Appreciate what you do got, right?
You're right, exactly.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I wish more, if more people can remember that. And it's hard. Listen, life throws shit at you, but that's a great message.
Definitely. I mean, the curveballs come, but the whole idea is to take that and learn and then move on.
Now, you came from, I remember we had talked, you had previously, before the Ramones, you were in a band called Dust, and I know that band. You were pretty surprised that I knew that band. Remember, I told you I knew the cover and everything. Yeah,
I was in, I was in my first year in high school. Second year in high school, around that time, and did 2 albums. And I couldn't tour. I was too young. I had to finish school, and every time I played a place that served alcohol in the city, my parents had to come. My mother or father, because they had to be responsible. But unfortunately, we had to finish school. My parents wanted that diploma on the wall, so we couldn't tour. So we only made 2 albums, and one of the songs got in the top 10 heavy metal list of all time. So I was very impressed by that.
Which song was that?
From A Dry Camel. Okay. It's a 9-minute song on the first Dust album, and it's in the Heavy Metal Almanac, listed as the top 10 metal songs of all time. And just recently, a lot of younger heavy metal heads are really into Dust, and I was very surprised. We made those albums with hardly anything. I mean, you know what I mean? It was like, let's just do this out, let's write this song, do it, and we did them, and everything was analog. But the kudos that we get, both of the albums are getting 4.5, 5-star ratings.
That's great. Well, that's the best way to do it. Is not to worry about it, just do it.
No, we just did it.
Yeah,
and,
that's how you do it.
And it's like we were signed to Kama Sutra Buddha, which eventually was Casablanca. My guitar player and producer discovered Kiss, and then introduced them to Neil Bogart. And my guitar player, he was 19. He produced the first 2 Kiss albums.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, 19 years old.
And then you were with, I found out you were with Wayne County and the Backstreet Boys. Is that right?
Yeah.
Now, hold on. So does that mean you were, can I officially say you were a Backstreet Boy?
Well, it's funny when you bring that up because Wayne was going to sue them for taking the name, but he decided not to take on that machine. But, we will call that way before they even, thought of being in a band. But, sometimes you got to let things go, I mean, we had our fun for 2 years, and then I joined Richard Hell and the Voidoids, and we did the Blank Generation album, and then after that I joined the Ramones in 78, and the first song I recorded with them was I Want to Be Sedated.
Now, what kind of, going into a different territory right now, when you guys started getting real popular and you started getting the hits and stuff, what kind of girls are we talking about? Like, were you getting, because I know Rush, I don't know if you're a Rush fan, but if you listen to their interviews and stuff, they always say like how they never had any women in the beginning. And then when finally, like, the Tom Sawyer came out and, all of a sudden they had hit songs, all of a sudden they had female fans come in. It was very odd to them because they went so long with just a male audience. So I'm wondering, what was the Ramones' female presence?
Well, the girls would be leather jackets, leather skirts, all the dark makeup and stuff like that, very punked out. And, we all had girlfriends, though. We all had girlfriends. And it's funny because a lot of people think just because you're in a band, you're going to be cheating on your wives, you're going to be doing this, doing that. But, we never did. But they came around, and we were happy that they did. We didn't take advantage.
Right. How far did you push it, though? Like, were you guys flirty?
Well, we would go, hey, how you doing? Thanks for being a fan. Where do you want to come to the next show? Blah blah blah. And we'd get them on. We treat them like sisters. That's basically how the Ramones were. We treated our girl groupie fans as sisters. And we were very into our girlfriends. But they did come around and. Look, a lot of times it was tempting, but we had to fight that temptation. I'm not saying everybody should, but that's the way it was, Well,
I would think it's also across the board. If you guys all were in that same position, then it's easier, as opposed to like if half of you were and half of you were single, it's got to be much harder,
Well, a few of us had steady girlfriends, but it's funny because a lot of the girls were afraid of us. Because of our reputation. A lot of the times we'd play and it would be mostly guys in the audience. 80% would be guys, but then eventually, after Rock and Roll High School, movie came out, more girls came to the shows.
Right. And that's why I brought up the Rush story, because it seemed like, there is a certain thing, especially with heavier music, if you're not a rock, like our band is the exact opposite. Like we have from day one attracted, our audience is heavily female. I mean, there's a lot of guys that come
Good
too.
for you.
But yeah,
Yeah.
oh, I love it. But the
Definitely.
well, I mean, first of all, you can't blame him. I mean, look at you've seen the three of us in person, so you can see how incredibly handsome and
Yep.
animal magnetism that is there.
Right.
But
young and strong, and
yeah,
right, taking over the world. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, and so it was always weird because it's like we've had that the whole time, and then you would see other bands, and I'd go to their shows, and I'm like, where are all the girls? It's all these guys, and they're like, it's getting rough, and I don't know if I could play to a crowd that's all sausage fest. It's like I need to, it's a different mentality. But I guess it depends on the kind of stuff you're doing too. Like if lyrically and the vibe,
Yep.
It depends,
I mean, when we started, the guys would start banging into each other. There would be what they call a mosh pit, and a lot of the girls were afraid of that.
Yeah.
So any girls that were there would either be in the side or in the back because they didn't want to get bruised up, So, word gets around, their shows are rough. It's a guy thing, But eventually it people started realizing it was just a contact sport, and
right.
Nobody really got hurt,
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, we were always more like we thought of ourselves more as like in that Aerosmith. I mean, even Kiss. If you think about it, in the Kiss, the first couple of years, they were heavy and dark. It wasn't until they started, like when Beth came out and all of a sudden they got big. Yeah. So it's interesting how that works. So
with a nice ballad, Peter Criss wrote that. He sung it, and that got them over to a whole other kind of audience.
Right. And speaking of which, that's going to be I'm the king of transitions. This is going to transition me now into what put us sort of over the bar a little bit was our TV show. I mean, there is a big difference from being just a rock band, and obviously you mentioned Rock and Roll High School, the movie. So there's a big difference from us being just three guys who play in a rock band, whether it's a great band or good band, whatever, as opposed to being those three guys from that show on TV. Right. It's a totally different animal. And that has helped us out tremendously and has definitely opened it up to more, a bigger demographic, younger people, older people, whatever. So now you, for people that don't know, you were on Z-Rock Season 2, which is out now on DVD. It's available. And that's how we met. So first of all, tell me a little bit how you approached and how did that even come to be?
A friend of mine knew somebody. They approached him and said, to come down. I came down, I met you, and then they wanted me to play a character. And the character I played, I felt so bad. I was so mean in it. And remember how I apologized to you
it was
coming
so
off
funny.
to you that way?
So funny.
I mean, it was funny, but that's not how I am normally. It was like, you got to be mean, you got to be aggressive, you have to tell this guy he's that, he's this. And I felt bad. But that's the character I had to play. But that's really what it was. It was just a friend went to my friend and said, would Marky be interested in doing to be on the show? I said, definitely,
Did you have a good time doing it other than feeling...
Yeah. I did. I realized afterward it was only acting and that, I made it clear that's not how I am. And, It was when I watched it, I couldn't believe it. It was, it was really cool.
Well, let me just elaborate a little bit for people that don't know what we're talking about. So the scene was that I'm auditioning for Rock of Ages, and this Konstantin Maroulis is also in the episode, and he's gone missing, and now they need someone, and I get the audition. Now they have you as like a rock and roll consultant.
Advisor.
Yeah, like an advisor to help pick the next guy who's going to replace him. And we bump into, I kind of like, you're frustrated because everyone sucks. And I'm one of the last people you're calling in. And I'm like, hey, Marky, I'm a big fan or whatever. And you're like, yeah, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. I throw pencils at you. Yeah. We're supposed to vote. I threw all the pencils at you. I said, you suck. Stop the fucking dancing. And and afterwards I said, shit, this it seemed very realistic.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I remember, but I had just met you for the first time, basically. So I remember when you apologized, and you're like, and you had a little issue with it. And you're like, well, I don't want to, this is so mean. And they're like, no, that's the character. That's the character. And I kept telling you, I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. It's like, it's totally fine. It's just acting. Like, I'm not going to take offense. And I could see it in your eyes. You were genuinely concerned that you were offending me. And I felt so bad for you.
Yeah.
Because I knew you had that in your head, and I kept trying to make you feel better about it. And I had that same situation when Steel Panther was on. I don't know if you saw that episode. And they,
yeah.
So this first time we're meeting, we never really had a chance to like kind of shoot the shit and like break the ice.
Right.
So they come out, and they're all of a sudden, like the first scene, they're all like, "Yeah, I fucked your mother last night," and I'm like, my face, I was like blank, and I actually for a second lost it, and I was like, And he goes, dude, I'm so sorry. Like I was just acting like I didn't mean to. And I'm like, no, it's okay. It's okay. It just threw me off. And that was an awkward moment because I didn't know who they were. I mean, how do I know if they're really assholes or not? And they turned out to be the exact opposite. Like you. Like it was super nice guys.
Yeah.
But it is weird.
I mean, that's acting. It's just that's what happened. But that's why everyone likes the show.
Yeah. Well, people think that. See, I'm not as dumb as I act on the show. Just to make the record straight, I act like a goofball. I am actually super suave in real life. Right. Super cool.
Hey, when we played the show, when I jammed with you at what was it, the Mercury Lounge?
Yeah.
When we did that was fun too. I mean, you guys were great that night.
So, what did you think now after seeing us on screen, which I'm sure was probably your first introduction to us? And a lot of people thought, oh, these guys are just actors, not musicians. And then once you saw us on stage doing what we really do, which is the band,
it was great.
What did you think of that?
It was great.
Did you find, was it odd, like when you first met us though, did you know that we were real musicians or no?
I knew there had to be something else there.
Okay.
And I just knew it. Besides the TV show, I knew that there was a certain professionalism that you guys had musically, and then when I saw you live, it kicked ass.
Did you have a good time? I mean, that was fun.
Oh yeah.
We played. For those who don't know, we played "Good Times, Bad Times."
Bad Times.
That's right. That's right.
By Led Zeppelin on their first album.
And what was great is that it was like when you have a guest up, like you would figure you actually played with us at Webster Hall and we did a Ramones song, which made sense. That's pretty much predictable. So then for the next cameo, we thought, why not do something different? Everyone's going to expect a Ramones song. And I'm glad we did that. It was pretty cool having Marky Ramone playing fucking John Bonham behind us. That was great.
He was one of my idols when I was a little kid.
Did you ever meet him?
No, unfortunately I didn't, but he was one of my favorites, and I wonder if he was alive today, what he'd be like. He was just a monster.
Well, can you imagine him, Hendrix, Stevie Ray, Keith Moon? I mean,
oh man,
it's but in a way, I hate to say it, but in a way, the fact that they went early is what seals their legacy more, because you'll never know. You'll never see them grow old. You'll never see them have hip, replacement surgery or get, what I'm saying, or lose their hair. I mean, they're solidified as that icon forever.
You know what it is? Everybody today either has face surgery, wigs, makeup, this, that. It's not a big deal anymore. It's just that whatever you feel comfortable doing is okay. But you're right about Hendrix, about Stevie Ray Vaughan, John Bonham, all these guys. The legacies are intact.
Yep, and so is yours, my friend. So is yours.
Thanks. Thank you.
And you know what? And that is what I'm working on. That is my goal, is to create that legacy and try not to screw. And once I create it, try not to screw it up.
Well, you're doing very well, I'll tell you.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm loving it. The whole band, we're loving what we're doing, and especially in a time.
I see it.
Well, in a times, an economic downfall, it makes it a little bit harder. But if anything, that's more of a challenge, so that when we rise to the top, it'll be hopefully more respectable, because we did it at the in the worst possible time. So that's
It was
where I
like the 70s. 70s, we were in a bad economic crisis too, right? But we did what we had to do, and we did it, and it made us even do more. You know,
exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
You persevere, you press on, you go forward. You go, hey, we're not going to let this stop us. You know, things can only get better. That's all.
Well, listen, I thank you so much for being on, and I really,
Hey, anytime.
I really interested now in tasting the Marky Ramone. So what is it called? Tell me again what it's called.
It's called. You ready?
Yeah.
Marky Ramone's Brooklyn's Own pasta sauce.
Pasta? What's a pasta? Isn't that a guy in church?
Pasta.
No.
Pasture. Pasta.
Yeah, pasta.
See how I talk? Pasta. I can't say pasta. I have to say pasta.
I was
and
going to say,
it says here.
I ran right past her. She was so slow.
Yeah, right? And it says on the ingredients, drums not included.
No, that's funny.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, everybody go out and get Marky Ramone's Brooklyn's Own pasta sauce.
Yeah, go to markyramone.com.
Put it on your
and you can check it out there.
Well, listen, you know what? I've been my fans know that I've been doing dairy and gluten-free. Or, you know, I shouldn't even say free because it's like there's always that 1%. So I'm like heavily reduced as close to gluten-free as possible. But I've just had the other day for the first time gluten-free pasta, which is basically made out of rice. I don't know if you ever had this, but it's rice pasta. And, yeah, and it was really good. I mean, you can tell the difference because it's more of a texture difference because you're missing the gluten. But I want to try. Yeah. I have a feeling my gluten-free pasta with your Brooklyn's Own pasta sauce,
right?
I think it's going to be a winning combination, and I'm going to be hooked. What do you think?
Well, let's get it together and do it. We should maybe do an episode about it.
Yeah, well, you know what? I have a chef that wants to do the show. I don't want to mention names. I'm not going to say anything more than that. But I'm working on something about getting a guy down to the studio. Maybe we can do something next time. We can even bring you in. We'll have something where he cooks like a special meal using your sauce. How about Tony Bourdain? Can you get him? I can't.
I can ask him.
Hey, why not? If you can
ask him, Tony's a friend.
If you have any friends, cooks, or even musicians, if you want to get like a whole thing, I'll talk to my producer. We'll put it together. You get him.
I could call Tony and I'll see if he would want to do that.
Yeah, and anywhere he wants to do it. And what we can do is maybe we'll get a couple of other musician people, respected people, and we'll have them use the sauce, and we'll film it, and then we'll see what they we'll see what they say.
Yeah. You know, they could throw up, they could spit it out, they could love it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think it'll be cool. Like, imagine, we're sitting down with, whoever I can get at the time, but let's say Sebastian Bach or Dee Snider or any of the friends that I've made over the show, and we're sitting down and having a meal with your sauce. That could be cool, it'll be cool for you, obviously, promotion-wise.
Be a
and it'll
riot.
be fun. Yeah, and it'll be fun for everybody. So
I'll ask Tony.
All right, so we'll that might be in the works, everybody, so stay tuned. But until then, go to the Marky Ramone's website and please order his sauce, and also
and Facebook. You could get it, I think, on the Facebook and the MySpace.
Yeah, and look for him on the road. Are you doing any more dates in town?
We're going to come back in August and probably do New York City and the adjoining boroughs, and I want to do something in Brooklyn. But we're going to go to Italy. We're going to go to France. We're going to go to England, and then we'll be back at the end of the summer.
Okay, so then let us know. Definitely let me know when you're playing in town because I'd love to come.
I will.
And hang out.
Definitely.
And so thank you so much again. And remember, Z-Rock Season 2 is on DVD now, so make sure you get make sure you get one.
Definitely. I got to have one.
Yeah, call the producer. Tell them to send you one, damn it. They didn't even send us. I had to go get it myself. All right.
All right.
Thanks so much,
Good.
Marky.
See you again.
All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye. All right. So, that was a great interview. Marky Ramone is a class act, I have to say. When I met him, I didn't know what to expect because I thought, punk and, maybe he's going to be kind of weird, but he actually is probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life. He really is that nice. And he's done so much, and I respect him. And now he's got his own sauce. So look at that. So I think this was the perfect forum for him to talk, because he's a rock and roller and a foodie, just like yours truly. All right, so now I have we're gonna get Benny Boy on the line, and we're gonna talk about the new Scorpion CD, which is called "Sting in the Tail." Benny, you there?
Hello.
Hey,
Yes.
what's up, Benny Boy?
Hey. Hello, Paul.
Sting in the Tail. Does that have anything to do? Is that like a Tuchus reference, or no?
I think so. I think it's like an hour long, advertisement promoting ointment of some
Right.
of some kind. If you've got a Sting in the tail.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, wait a second, is this supposed to mean something? I'm just looking through the artwork right now. So the booklet's kind of cool. Most booklets, most CDs in general these days, I always say, and I'm very vocal about it, most CDs suck. And that's why I think the CD sales are going down, not just because of digital, but because I think people don't really put time and effort into their packaging. And I like the cover. I mean, it's pretty typical. It's like a big giant S, a couple roses on the side, very like, almost like an Affliction shirt, right?
I don't know if that's a good thing necessarily, but
you know what I mean, right?
It definitely has an ornate quality to it, which does, like you say, an album cover adds to the experience of the music, and definitely in the digital era, you do lose something without that.
Well, I'm very happy though that there's a bunch of pictures, and that's another thing I get pissed off at. Is I open these booklets and it's just words like thrown on in no particular order, whatever, and it's like no one really cares, and I don't see what the band looks like. Like here, look, they got. Hey, let's just go through it quick. I don't know if you have it in front of you, but there's a really cool picture. The first picture is them, like Klaus is smiling, and they're all like screaming towards the cat. It's such a great, that's the kind of picture I like because it shows personality, and it shows them having a good time. I love that picture. And then you get the more typical, like in the inside. You get this more typical image of them like just standing with their arms on each other's shoulders, which is a little weird.
Well, they're all going to be retiring, so you figure, if you were like, if you've done, 40 years of that shit and you were going to stop, you probably have a big grin on your face too. So I think, that the pictures do, I think that they do reflect, I think that this idea that the Scorpions are very known for being a very, a very genial, kind of honest, group of guys. And I think the vibe, when you see them smile, you get the sense that it's not just like a PR.
Right.
It's not like a PR put on. It's like these guys are really, they love what they do. They're glad to have done it for so long, and you kind of, you get like a real genuine sense of the pictures when you see them.
Right, and that's
like the music. It's all the same. It's all the same.
It's a sense of humor. That's what what a lot of people I think lack is there's that little bit of sense of humor. Like they even have this like image of them like almost like a Last Supper kind of thing. But that one's weird. I always hate these kind of pictures where everything is placed like the bread. Like I don't know. There's like tomatoes and grapes and bread, and they're all like staggered all over the table. I'm like, who set that table? Like, what kind of setting is that? If you're going to do it, like, set it right. Why is the bread separated from, there's like 3 grapes just roaming around free on the tablecloth? What the fuck?
That's just annoying, all right? That would stick with me through the whole dinner.
I can't listen to the record until they move the grapes. Someone put the grapes back on the damn plate. All right, so what's your overall...
Yes.
What's your overall impression of the record? Go.
It's favorable. I'm going to give this... I think overall, this is definitely like a B+, high B+, very low A- record. It's if you're going to end your career on something like this, it's a good way to go out.
Really, I would give it more. I'm surprised you're giving it that. I mean, that's a good rating, but I would actually give it more. I mean, I'm leaning solid A to almost A+. I have to say. I think it's incredible. I think it's a great record with the exception of one song, but we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
What don't you like? Give me your opinion. So like, why would you not give it a solid A? Like, what's missing for you?
Well, I think some of the rockers are sort of I think overall the album is very good. I think some of the rockers are they're not as memorable. You know, the great thing about the Scorpions is they get away with a lot of stuff that a lot of other bands would not. Like, you know, a lot of rock fans of this genre would say, we don't want, you know, three or four ballads on a record. This band can do that. They can pull that off. The ballads on this record, I think, are all pretty stellar, including the last song, "The Best Is Yet to Come," which is a fantastic, you know, career closer, album closer. But you know, Lorelei, "Only the Good Die Young," which kind of has like, you know, the album overall in you know, writing and production, I really think of it as like a cross between Love at First Sting and the album that came after it, on Savage Amusement, which was much more produced and had that, you know, sort of, you know, sheen and polish to it. So I think that's what the mix is, because the writing is kind of harkening back to Love at First Sting, and the production is kind of like Savage Amusement.
Yeah.
But,
well, I'm digging the production. I think it was like I was raising the volume to see if it was like crackling, and it didn't. And I thought, you know, the guitars had like they were nice and crunchy, but they weren't too like high-endy. Like, I thought everything was solid, full, but not overbearing. So it sounded, you know, like a current record, and I thought it was great. And I agree with you that I think the three ballads are incredible. I mean, but I disagree that the rock songs are memorable. I think that first song, you know,
not all of them, but
well, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a couple. I mean, first of all, the second song. Let's just get right to it. The second song, I can't stand. I don't know why it's
Singing the Town.
Oh, I don't like it at all. And David even listened
Hail,
to
Hail,
it.
Singing the Town.
Oh, it's just terrible. And it's like, it's like a sour grape in a bunch of like really, you know, like you get like you know, when you buy fruit or something and you get like a nice big container of fruit and you get like that one piece that's just disgusting. Like, I don't want to say it's not that bad, but it really, to me, it really just like takes away. If that song wasn't on there, I think I would say A+. I think I love this record so much, and that one song, and being so early in the order, I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah, because Raised on Rock is a really strong opener. Reminds you of Rock You Like a Hurricane, but really updated into the new, you know, the you know, today's production. And it's a great opener, but you're right, coming right off of that, Stinging the Tail is not really a memorable, you know, Slave Me is also the same, you know, that's the third track. It's a kind of a slow pulsing rocker. Kind of almost has like a Bon Jovi-esque Lay Your Hands on Me kind of riff, but it kind of didn't really do it for me.
I like Slave Me. I like Slave Me.
A lot of reviews were down on Rock Zone, and as a heavy, you know, high-speed rock tune. That's what I like a lot, actually.
Yeah, but I disagree with you on Slave Me. I thought Slave Me, what I liked about Slave Me too is that it took me for it didn't go where I thought it was going to go on the chorus. Like, the chord changes. Yeah. It was almost like that more. I don't want to say klezmer, but it was like a darker kind of like how do you call it? Like Eastern European. What would be the way to describe what I'm trying to say? Like
Eastern European, kind of like a Euro metal.
Yeah, I guess so. It's got one thing about them in general, like the whole album, and I always thought this was cool. And tell me if you agree. They're every song they have, like their whole vibe has that vibe, like that Euro, you know, that but especially like Eastern European. It's like, you know, it's more of like this German and almost Russian, and you know, vibe to it with the notes that they choose, the scales, the tones, the way he sings, right?
Yes, I mean the guitar solos have that kind of European, you know, flavor. There's a lot of harmony in the leads, and you know, also Klaus Meine, you know, a rock singer. He has an almost operatic voice, and it's just you know, so distinct, and it's held up so well over the years that it's just you get the sense that that there's an absolute European flavor, because the vocals, you know, really soar on almost, you know, every song. Even the hard rockers, he's kind of, you know, getting up there in the range.
Well, but speaking of his Klaus Mein's vocals, and I don't want to get into it today because we don't have enough time. But next week I'm going to go into full detailed review. But ZO2 just played M3 Festival in Maryland. Was a couple days before this the taping of this episode. And
Vince Neil came up, right?
Well, Vince Neil came up to help him, as Klaus was basically he had nothing, no voice left, and he had the flu or whatever. But he was struggling, and it was I felt so bad for him because I'm a singer. Yeah, he called out. He called out someone in the crowd about it. But listen, I don't want to get into it because I'm going to do a full detail review next time. Sure. But seeing the Scorpions live, and seeing him struggle, it was kind of, for me. I'm sure for everybody, but it was sad because I was really looking forward to like that was going to be a great show, especially because I love the new record. And then it was like, you can't blame him, but it definitely sucks.
I bet he was probably having a bit of an off night. I mean, I think he probably takes better. He probably takes decent care of his voice and whatnot. But yeah, I can understand how it would be a bit of a disappointment live and in the moment. But
well, and also if you're thinking that might be the last time you see him or see them, that's also what's going through your head. It's like, it's like, shit, that might have been the last time, and it wasn't what I wanted. But as a singer, I totally feel for him. But anyway, we'll talk more about that. But so the record itself, so I mean, I like what I was saying with Slave Me, like that real dark change in the chorus, and
Slave Me.
Yeah, I mean the only one that
was like No Limit. You have like a Zeppelin-ish, kind of an open G groove, or you get like Let's Rock, which also has kind of like an STP or like a Zephyr, like a Thunder,
right?
Kind of big drums, mid-paced.
What about
and it's like
Turn You On, the intro to that? Is that not We're Not Gonna Take It? Am I crazy?
I mean, it's great. They also bring back the Sting metaphor. If you want to feel the Sting, as the lyrics go.
Yeah.
There's actually, it's weird. There's a bonus track called Thunder and Lightning, which is really moody. It's like this moody kind of mid-paced rock song with these kind of like chorus guitar verses. It's almost like the Rat album, where that bonus track didn't feel like the rest of the record,
right?
But I still liked it anyway.
Well, that's why it's a bonus, right? I guess.
Right. It's just a hybrid. I think you get some like hard rock, like Zeppelin influences in a few of these songs, but with added crunch, which is I think unique for the Scorpions, because Love at First Sting, you're dealing with a lot of like Euro metal. But I agree with you. It's really strong, and the ballads, as we said, are all great. I think the Scorpions, I would say, for my money, some of the best ballad writers for that hard rock genre.
Yeah, I got to tell you,
they're all gorgeous,
very moving, very like. And again, I get this for some reason. Like when I hear a ballad by any other band, and I don't know why. But like if I hear a ballad by, you pick any. I mean, even Bon Jovi. I mean, they have some great ballads. If you think of Cinderella or Poison or whatever, Skid Row. One of my favorites. It still sounds like a rock ballad. But when I listen to Scorpions do their ballads, this is the difference. I always in my head I visualize like like the Live 8 concert. Or I visualize We Are the World, or I visualize some sort of, and I guess
epic.
What?
It's that's epic in scope,
It's epic, but it's also it's something about the tone, the style in which it's written, and the tone and the way they put it together. It's got that. Again, I keep thinking of like almost like the Berlin Wall coming down, or like people being liberated in Russia, and it's like it's got that whole vibe of like it's a soundtrack to world events. Does that make sense? As opposed to like just.
Well, I remember when you and I were back in the day,
doing each other's hair after school.
No, but I remember walking down around Battery Park when the Crazy World album was out, and I heard Winds of Change, blaring out of the cars of like several several cars on the same night, and I was like, wow, this song is really. And you had the fall of the Berlin Wall at that time, and it was a really kind of a powerful ballad, and had obviously a crossover appeal in terms of music.
There's more meaning. It's like there's more. For some reason, they have more meaning to it. I don't know why. It's not just like it's singing about a girl or something.
Right. Even though the musicality is very ornate, I think Klaus really sings it because, like you said, Bon Jovi is probably the best in terms of the American ballad singers, but all the American singers have this kind of raspy voice, and it's like Klaus is this very smooth, beautiful, operatic, and it really does change the dynamic of the ballads.
But even the guitar playing, even if you really guitar play, like there's something about the way, the tone and the way they approach the notes, and they always have the synthesizers in the back. It sounds more soundtrack-like than it does it's just like, every rose has its thorn or something. It's less, put it this way, I less acoustic guitar oriented. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it sounds more like if it was written by a composer as opposed to like American ballads sound like they were written, in the back of a tour bus on an acoustic guitar. That's how I describe it. So
I mean, I love Poison too, but that's the template. The C, G, D chord progression.
Exactly, with the minor chord thrown in. From
Yes, absolutely.
Right, and I don't get that from them. That's the difference. I don't get that. I don't hear the big G chord. I don't hear that. It's like totally different. But listen, we're running out of time, so I just wanted to say, so you're basically saying B+, A- for you.
Definitely, it's a great album. Any Scorpions fan will be, I think, extremely pleased to have it in the collection for sure.
And a great way to go also. If this indeed is their last album, kudos, because it's
and hopefully
excellent.
the best is yet to come for those guys, and they'll do other things,
Yeah. And it'd be nice to see someone actually live up to the word, say like, we're stopping, and not come back 2 years. Like, go do some other things and leave your legacy intact. And yes, I give it a solid A, maybe even like with a little plus next to it. I think it's stellar. I think it's great. The exception, skip over the second song. The second song just brings the average out. I can't stand that.
Number two.
Can't stand that song, but everything else is great. And I think Raised on Rock, if we were in a different time period, whatever, could have been a huge song. But anyway, Benny Boy, thank you so much. I'll see you. You're coming in. You're going to be in town in New York, so I think we're going to get to
be in New York at Barnes & Noble, autographing copies of Sting in the Tail.
There you go. Of Sting in the Tail, your new cream, right?
Yes, the new miracle ointment for bee stings and scorpion stings.
All right, and then I'll be out in L.A. probably in a couple months. We'll be talking later. But anyway, I'm sure I'll talk to you before then. Benny Boy, thank you so much again for your wisdom. You. All right.
Indeed.
Talk to you later. All right. Well, there it is. So anyway, that's all we have time. That's all the time we have is what I meant to say. So just website plugs are basically the pauliezshow.com. And obviously go to iTunes. You can download the podcast for free. Please do me a favor. Spread the word. Tell your friends. The word is getting out there, but we got to push it. I want everybody to be listening to this. And, if they don't like it, then they don't have to listen. But I'd like everyone to at least give it a try and see what they think. I think it's great. I'm having fun. I hope you guys are too. Also, my Twitter is ZO2Paulie, and the band's website is ZO2.com. All right? And next week, I'm going to go over in more detail our experience at M3 Fest, and also going to hit the Yo Paulies, because I saw we have a bunch of them there, and I didn't get a chance to get them today. You know me, I'm always trying to get them in there. So next week I'll dedicate a chunk of time to that. So definitely email me between now and then. Okie dokie. So I will talk to you later.